Hey everybody, Vicki Fitch here, your direct sales expert. I am coming to you live from sunny Southern California. Now, many of you guys have been here on the broadcast before. Some of you guys are new. I'm going to introduce myself in a minute, but what I'd like to do is if you guys are new, I want you to kick back, relax, see what you think and drop some information in the chat and let us know. If you guys are my regular Perry Piece, my Facebook fans, we actually are on 7 different platforms. I want you to hit the share button right now because you're going to get some rock and good value and we're going to have a great conversation. So, yeah, no COVID hair haters out there. Okay, I know my hair, it's crazy. Hey, Bitcoin, welcome to the broadcast. Any rebel hairdressers out there want to, what in the Chino area that want to come and fix my, COVID do? I'd be happy to chat with you. All right. So again, hit the share button. We are now. Let me see. For some reason, we are. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we're going to talk about the RNC, DNC, and what's the difference. Excuse me. And by the way, you cannot cough in public. Have you guys noticed that? You cannot cough, sneeze, or anything in public that there's any kind of nose. Hey, Carla, welcome to the broadcast. You can't do anything in public anymore without people giving you the double take, the freak out, it's like things have gotten a little cray out there. I mean, you don't believe that it's there. Carla, are you saying you're down to do it? Or what are you saying? Are you a hairdresser and you're close and you're ready? You're down to cut my hair? I'm not sure what the down meant, but anyway, there's like I said, there's a lot of good stuff going on. We're going to talk about, I'm going to introduce myself. I've been getting messages from you guys saying, hey, I'm new to your show and I don't even know who you are. So like, why should I listen to you? Well, I don't know. You get a choice. I'm entertaining. I call it edutainment, educational and entertaining. And that's what I try and do. You're licensed in 2003. Carla, are you in the area? Because I'm serious. I do need a haircut. I'm sure you guys can tell I desperately need a haircut. So we're going to talk about this. And like I said, hit the share button and drop your name in the chat if you guys are new. Welcome to the broadcast. I see Melanie's here. I see Carla. I see Bitcoin. I see Mark, Kevin. Oh, I don't know. That looks like it says your name's Sasquatch. I'm not sure what your name is, but welcome to the broadcast again. Thanks for being here. We are live streaming on 7 platforms. My name is Vicki Fitch. I'm an author, a speaker, an international business consultant, and a direct sales expert. I'm also a social media strategist. But lately, I've recognized that clients and people, especially on social media, are afraid to talk about topics because they're getting lambasted. They're getting ripped to shreds. People are yelling and screaming and treating them poorly. So we're having a show where we can step up, stand out, and speak, where we can talk about things. Sometimes they're not even really controversial. We're just talking, where I do always have an opinion, but I don't force my opinion on you, and you are welcome to contribute to the conversation and tell me what you think. I mean, that's what this is all about, is so we can communicate. Hey, KB, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being here. So we're going to talk about the RNC, which is the Republican National Convention, versus the DNC, which was last week. The Republican National Convention, RNC, started last night. And I have to tell you, I'd love to see, put a 1 in the chat box if you guys saw it or any part of it, right? Because maybe today you're watching little clips and stuff that have been there. And I love watching clips of all different kinds of stuff. But I also feel like unless I'm just going to, have a chit chat, that I want to see the whole thing, because I want to know when people take clips out of context, when they try and pretend something, those kind of things. So, I am, anyway, I like to see the whole thing because I want to know. But I also love to hear other people's perspectives. And so if you've been struggling with like, oh, that's so boring, I don't want to watch it, I have to tell you that RNC has not been boring at all. The DNC wasn't boring either. It was but it was more like a reality show to me. I felt like it was Mean Girls. Like they weren't talking about policies. They weren't talking about what they're going to do, because our country's struggling right now. Put it 2 in the chat box if you agree. The country's been struggling. I mean, the world's been struggling with COVID, but the US has definitely been struggling. And so, I was looking to see what are they going to do? Oh, okay, Carla. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? What do the Democrats want to do if they take office, right? And see, okay, thanks, Mel. So see what platform they're running on, because if you guys have been following me for any length of time, I've never been a big Trump fan until recently. I actually am a Trump fan now. I was not before, but I still thought he was the best man for the job. I thought that he understood business, and I've always thought that if we don't run the country like a business, then we're going to be in trouble because we have to run it like a business. We have to run it like a profitable business that has room to for compassion and to do things for other people in other countries. Didn't get a chance to watch Only Saw Clips. Gotcha, Mel. We have to. I mean, and it hasn't been run that way. Like if you guys look right now, and this is, it's a little political piece, but it's regarding entrepreneurship. Now, as an entrepreneur, I don't get to run my business in the red. Like I can't have a $20 billion deficit and that be considered a balanced budget, right? I mean, it doesn't work that way. Like I can't get a loan that way. I can't run my house, my bills that way. I can't do anything like that. Like people are not accepting. You're like, you know what? I just don't really have the money right now, but I should in about 5 or 10 years, maybe 20. But that's how California is running its budget right now. Newsom made a statement that said he had a balanced budget, and then we find out he's 20 billion short. It's like, I don't know. We're not talking about 20 bucks. We're talking about 20 billion. That's kind of a problem. I mean, wouldn't you guys agree? That's not really close. So if you're running it like a business, you can't run a business on a $20 billion deficit. You have to figure out what you're going to do in order to adjust the budget. And so anyway, I was looking to see what platforms and stuff they plan on running on, and what's the, what energy do they have behind it. And I thought it was the slowest pace. Like I mean, again, I'm being a little bit facetious, but I'm being honest. When I saw Hillary Clinton come out, first of all, that new hairdo she's got doesn't represent her personality. That it doesn't mean that it's good or bad. Like you guys might like my hair when it's straight, or you might like it curly. Some you might say, "Oh, that just doesn't represent your personality." The slick down flip is just not Hillary Clinton to me. She's not a Chanel kind of girl. That's not her. So I felt like that was the first part that kind of threw me off about, again, you can change your look, but that just, I don't know. I felt more like she was trying to be who she thinks she's supposed to be versus delivering Hillary. I mean, some people like her, some people don't, but just be you. If you're not you, then what do you got to run on? So, I mean, and she was of course not running. She's delivering this message about how you have to vote for Joe, and it was like a Mean Girls thing. I mean, so she sat there kind of complaining about stuff, and then ends up delivering, and you can win by 3 million popular votes and still lose the election. Take it from me. And it was completely planned and scripted and rehearsed. And I thought, you're really rehearsing your sarcasm, and I don't know. I couldn't find the platform. Anyway, that was my point. And maybe some of you guys saw something I didn't. I'll admit I did not watch all of it because it was hard to stomach. And I just didn't feel like anybody had the meat. I watched Billie Eilish and I thought, what is she, 19 years old? And I don't know. She looked so sad and dejected. I just felt like, where's the energy? Like I'm looking for hope and, renewal and excitement. This is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to do it. And woo, woo, woo. Let's get on board and let's do it. And then anyway, so I didn't get it there. So last night, the Republican National Convention, let me check your comments really quick. And by the way, if you guys are new to the broadcast, please hit the share button. I'd love for you guys to share this out. And it's a conversation. Like I said, I have my opinions, but it's still a conversation. Nobody ever gets chastised or put down. Let's see. Newsom must be using the new math. I think so. I think he's created his own math. And I'm not sure how it's going to work out. Carla says, our governor shut down our salons. Unfortunately, I did not receive unemployment, so I chose to pivot to another industry. Gotcha, Carla. Well, Carla, are you here in California? You can't be 45 minutes away from me if you're not in Cali, unless you're in Mexico, and that's still too far. So I don't know. Where are you, sweetie? So anyway, so as we go back to this, so then last night in the Republican National Convention, it started out with Charlie Kirk. Now, I happen to be a Charlie Kirk fan anyway. He is some say he's an acquired taste because he kind of like Ben Shapiro, which I absolutely love Ben Shapiro as well. He uses way more sarcasm and flippant behavior, and he even talks faster than I do, which is, that's pretty fast. So, as we look at this, anyway, the convention started out with Charlie Kirk. And Charlie's in his 20s, and he has a huge organization, teaching. And I'll let you guys do some research on him because I would probably give a lame explanation of who he is. He's spoken at our church, and I watch him online, and he's got podcasts and different stuff. But he delivered a very confident, direct, piece of information, and I just thought, okay, it was a starting point. It was still, it was good. It had energy. It was good. It wasn't like, rah, yeah, this is what we're going to do. But this is what you're hoping, where you hope you get to, right? That's what any kind of rally, convention, event you have. If you've ever, put a 3 in the chat box if you've ever been to an event, like an actual event inside, like whether it's a conference or that kind of stuff. If your conference starts out like this and then people are cutting other people down, like, in another industry or something, it's like, oh, maybe I learned something, but you're not building this, this emotion and feeling. And that's what all events are supposed to do. I mean, that's the point, is they want to get you in, they want to suck you in, they want to, where they've got you excited and committed and wanting to participate. That's what a good event does. And so, like I said, Charlie came in, and I wouldn't call him super high energy, but I would call him direct, confident, specific energy, good stuff to say. And I was like, oh, this is a good start. And it moved on. And there was different people speaking, that not politicians, but people, and talking, some people had to do with political stuff. And again, you guys feel free. Cutting people down is never the way to go. Right, Carla? I mean, come on, guys. Like, seriously, let's grow up a little. We're not talking about high school politics, which we would hope we've already learned by high school. Many people don't, but we would hope we've learned by high school that we don't do that. And, junior high, you expect a little bit more of that. High school, you're hoping people are growing out of it. College, you really hope they're out of it. But I mean, Joe Biden's in his 70s. Like, the man's been in politics for almost 50 years. You're the one setting the bar. You're the one leading. You need to don't do that. Let's pick a platform. Let's take our energy and put it towards something meaningful of how we're going to fix things that we think are broken. Whether or not other people agree, at least you can be dynamic about your delivery, about what it is that you want to do to help. Because I think we all agree things are not so great right now. I mean, the economy is actually doing pretty well. I mean, I predict a little bit of a crash coming, unfortunately, because unemployment can only last so long. Some people are, hey, Jason, welcome to the broadcast. Some people are not actually committed to getting back to work. Some people are. Some businesses, unfortunately, tons of businesses. A local restaurant I love, Tahoe Joe's, says, we've closed down. We're done. Maybe they're going to have a different location, or maybe they have someone somewhere else, but not here. Thank you, Jason. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. That I don't know, but I'm so bummed, right? But some people can only last so long. I have another friend I won't mention, but she's in a entertainment service type business, and they won't let her open up. And she had just started right as this happened. She had just started. So, I mean, it's like, it's almost like being doomed, right? You have to be able to pivot, and you got to be able to have a platform to pivot on. So anyway, people are looking for hope, right? They're looking for direction, and what are we going to do to change this? Because we know it's not forever. But right now, if you're in the throes of it, it feels like forever. It feels like, it feels like some people can't breathe. They don't have any money, and they don't have this. And so I think President Trump's been doing a really good job of keeping us focused. I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but most people that are entrepreneurs see that it is true, that it seems to be true that the Democratic run states are suppressing the people or their citizens much more so than the Republican run ones. Now, I'm sure that there's some differentiation, but when we look at the big cities that are being destroyed, right, from rioting and looting, they're all Democrat-run cities. I think there was only one Republican-run city, and they did call in the National Guard, if I remember correctly, and got that, whipped into shape. And like I said, I could be wrong. There could be some more, but certainly the majority are that way. Hey, Walter, welcome to the broadcast. We have to band together, not create division. Right, Carla? I totally agree. We've got to band together. And so when I was watching the RNC, like I said, there was people talking, and they weren't putting other people down. There was one guy that had some quips about Joe and how he's, stays in his basement, and so, but they were little digs, and probably could have done without him. And yet I'm thinking that there's a lot of people that don't realize it's true, that he really has been hiding out. And, anyway, so, but that's kind of neither here nor there. But I mean, we do need a president that's obviously going to be able to step up and stand out and, kind of defend our country and negotiate things. And we got to be be careful about that. What is he doing specifically? I want to learn more. Carla, who is are you talking about? Biden? Are you talking about Trump? Are you talking about Newsom? Let me know who you're talking about. The president. What is he doing specifically to better the country? Is that what you mean? Let me know if that's what you mean. I'll get back to her question as soon as she puts it. There's a slight delay. So so we're working towards change. We are making agreements. We're bringing manufacturing back. Many people don't know. Okay, gotcha, Carla. Many people don't know, and I'm going to try and do a whole episode on this because every time I tell people, they think I'm nuts. Just like when I talked about the $1 billion mask deal, people thought I was nuts until I pulled the stuff out. He didn't even that Newsom wasn't denying. They're like, "You're lying. Why would you make stuff up like that?" It's like, I'm not lying. What point would I have to lie? I don't really care. This is a conversation. It's not, "Hey, Tim, welcome." It's not me telling you what to do. It's a conversation. The $1 billion mask deal, many people didn't know that Governor Newsom spent $1 billion with a company in China on masks when he could have just bought them here locally, like some of the local officials did. He made up some excuse. They're way overpriced. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and the mask didn't pass inspection. And so there's 780 billion, I think, a million, excuse me, $780 million that we've given to this Chinese company, and with not really anything in return. And there's a lot of interest accruing and those kind of things. And anyway, people don't know. So many people don't know that the Obama administration had basically, well, between Obama and whatever participation Governor Newsom had, they had basically sold the rights to the port here in Long Beach to China. They literally basically sold the coast to, not the coast, but it's a long story, so I will have to get the details. But most people didn't know that. President Trump came in and said, "Oh, heck no. China doesn't have their own port in our country that they can just come in and bring whatever they want in whenever they want." It's not happening. So most people, I think I know that there's some conspiracy theorists, that talk about being asleep. I think we have been asleep. I know I've lived here for most of my life. And I didn't realize I wasn't really as involved in the political arena or really understanding what was going on until maybe the last 5 or 6 years, but this last few years for sure, because I wasn't a fan of President Trump. I did vote for him, but I felt like it was the lesser of two evils. That's the truth. I think Hillary Clinton is, I never trusted her. And I feel like she's got her own agenda, and that it was never about the people. It was about her being the first woman president and her. And so I did not feel like she had our best interest at heart. So, and then looking at Trump, he was pro-life, which as a Christian, I'm pro-life. And again, that doesn't mean I judge you for whatever decision you make with your body, but I am pro-life. I believe that all life is valuable, and it is our job to speak up for babies that can't speak for themselves. And so again, that's not me judging. That's as a Christian, that's a belief system. So when I had to compare two candidates that I wasn't fond of, I chose the one that had the values that were closest to Christian principles. And that has nothing to do with the fact that President Trump has had affairs in the past. I have no idea what Hillary's background is, but people make mistakes. In the Bible, David, David, David and Bathsheba, that was a sad thing, but he was a man after God's own heart. So people do make mistakes. And like I said, I can forgive mistakes that people are trying to have forgiven. So as we, approach back to that, going back through that, not sure Trump was allowed to use National Guard in riots according to the Posse Act of 1878. Not sure what that exactly means, Walter. You're saying you think what he did was illegal, or you don't think that the National Guard was actually used? I'm not quite sure what you're asking there. Let me know. Anyway, so coming back around here, I wasn't a fan. And so I got more involved in the political arena, maybe because I felt I used to use the hashtag embarrassed American, because when they were going through the debates, I just thought, oh my gosh, what are these people doing? It was embarrassing, just the whole debate process, not just between Trump and Clinton, but it was just embarrassing. And so yet I've seen him come through and start, we all fall short. Amen to that, Carla, right? Like we do. And so we have to look at our present behavior and what we're doing. If the man was cheating on his wife right now, and look at Clinton. Clinton was cheating on his wife in the White House with an intern, and apparently not only her, but people have forgiven him so much that I don't know. I don't even know how to explain that. And like I said, I'm not judging him either. I can only imagine what a marriage to Hillary was like. And I can only imagine what Hillary's marriage to Bill was like when he's cheating on you. So I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, but I would just think that was just a really unhappy union. That would just be a really unhappy union. And I can't even imagine being in any of the staff that has to keep that quiet. And I mean, like, to me, that makes my stomach turn, but that's just me. So as we come back around to what we're talking about is what, Carla's asking, what has Trump done? Trump is on, again, I watch these briefings daily. I've invested a lot of time in it. I'm not a professional politician or anything else, but I'm looking and I'm seeking, I'm trying to figure out who really does have our best interest at heart. And putting 4 proposals together to try and come up with a plan here. I'm really annoyed. I get the whole concept of pork, and I don't know if you guys know or don't know, so I'm going to explain what pork is in political bills. And again, I am not an analyst, and I'm not perfect. I can just give you the kind of layman's terms. When this whole stimulus package was designed to help the American people, the CARES Act was designed to help the American people because I can tell you, I was supposed to leave in 3 days for my book signing tour. I had speaking engagements in Chicago. I had at a college and a high school, and 3 bookstore signings that following week. My entire business, speaking business, pretty much got shut down because of COVID-19, right? So I got my butt kicked. You getting $25,000 for a speaking engagement versus $2,500 for doing a virtual one is a huge hit on your income, right? So I can only speak for myself. I don't know what other people are experiencing, but jumping in and making sure that people had an opportunity for PPP loans and to look for ways to support the American people is urgent. And President Trump realized that. But did you guys see the list of stuff the Democrats put in that first package? And I am going to get to those comments in a second, guys. By the way, if you're finding this valuable, whether you love it or hate it, but still valuable, hit the share button. If you're not following, please make sure to give me a follow. Turn on those live notifications. I do go on every day at 11:30 a.m. On Thursdays, we do the Do You Neo show. So we got all kinds of a variety of things. But like I said, today we're talking about the the RNC versus the DNC conventions. And so, here's this list of stuff, and they call it pork. It is like $150 million for the museum and $258 million for this and 500. It's like, it has nothing to do with this pandemic. It is and I know this is done politically, so I'm not just trashing the Democrats for doing this, because I know that I know both sides do it. I just haven't seen it on the Republican side like this, because to me, this was despicable. And what they're doing right now is despicable. So like I said, we'll wrap all this stuff in there, and please put your questions and comments in the chat. I will get to them in a second. I just want to finish this thought. So they had so much pork in there. It's so bloated, kind of like, when you get a new phone and it's so bloated or a new computer and it's so bloated with a bunch of software and stuff you're never going to use and you don't need, and it's filling up your phone. That's what that was. It was so much pork that it was insulting. And the Republicans said, no, enough times. And finally had to pass it through with still a lot of crap that did not need to be there. But yeah, they had to, because the American people are suffering and they can only make them suffer for so long, and that's what really torques me, is that leaders should be able to step up for a minute, put their own self-interest aside, especially because I love a museum just as much as the next guy, or maybe I don't, because I'm not this, I'm sure there's some real museum enthusiasts, but I love history and art, and I love that stuff. So I'm a big proponent, but to make sure it gets rammed through during the CARES Act and postponing it for people, I think is despicable. Now, I get that it's done, and I guess you have to do what you got to do to play the game or whatever, but wouldn't it be nice? And I just want to actually hear a vote. I want a 4 in the chat box. Wouldn't it be nice if politicians recognize the problem that we had, like the pandemic? What can we do to fix it? And we only actually fixed it. We didn't try and tag on all of our own special interest group things because we knew that we had you over a barrel, because that makes me sick. Honestly, I I get that it's a game that's played, but it's a stupid game. And it's, I say stupid. I mean, like I said, I don't know. I'm not a politician, but it's nauseating. Like, can we just step up for a minute, put our own interests aside and say, how can we help the people? What can we do with what we have to as fast as possible help these people? That's what we should be doing. And so when you see the second stimulus package, because the $600 a week, although I think is great and some people needed it, I know personally people that's more than they made before. So they didn't have a lot of motivation to get back to work. So I get where the Republicans are saying, no, we can't put that much in. We've got to make some adjustments. We need to encourage people to go back to work. The Democrats have been and this, like I said, this we can agree or disagree on this, but they are basically running a socialist agenda. I mean, Bernie was very open about the socialist agenda. When you start looking at Kamala and Joe, I really do believe that Joe is not all there. I mean, again, that's not me being mean. That's just, I mean, I don't know what to say. The man's not all there. He seems, well, anyway, I think that cognitively he's definitely not able to run the country, and so then it's going to fall onto her. But when you're looking at them, they are Kamala is supporting, BLM. And if you don't know, and this is not Black Lives Matter, I believe that Black Lives Matter too. They matter. They absolutely matter. But the organization itself is a Marxist organization, and they've established themselves that way. They don't even deny it or pretend they're not. So it's not like, but people don't know that because they don't do the research. And then they start thinking that people are trying to do this. So she just said that they're supportive of Black Lives Matter, the organization. So that's a Marxist organization. And maybe we have to talk about Marxism sometime so people really understand what that means. I promise I'm going to get to those comments. I just don't want to lose my train of thought, but we've got to be careful. And for this second stimulus package, the president put 4 different ones together, and the Democrats just ignored them all, went on recess. Now, this has become a debate too. They went on recess. They left. You should not be able to go anywhere when the people are struggling. Their stimulus ran out, or a lot of people still haven't got the stimulus money. The unemployment or PPP, different things have run out. They don't have access to them. And the president put 4 different packages. They not only dismissed those, but they didn't even put one package forward. And then they went on recess, on whatever, recess, or I can't remember. I think it was recess. But the thing is, then you don't get paid. I don't think they should get paid until this gets resolved, because I can tell you as a business owner, I don't get to leave my business in shambles and I'm going on vacation and just leave. It doesn't work that way. My people still need to get paid. I still got to take care of things. But since all the government employees are still getting paid, it seems like there's less, to me, it seemed like a game that the Democrats were playing with the Republicans, thinking they would cave because they know how bad the American people need it. And that's where you start to see someone's heart. Like, Trump's in there, but he still has to be a businessman. He still has to run this country like a business. Say, I'm not caving to their crap that's going to hurt the country to fix this problem now. We're going to have to deal with it, and they're going to have to be called out for acting like children. And so what did they run back for? For the post office. That's a whole nother issue, but it's just so wrong. I hope we can see that. I know I went off on a little bit of a tangent. I'm going to check on your questions right now. Carla, hopefully that kind of answered it. He's putting together programs, making sure that people are getting paid, or that we can get that stimulus out. He's making sure that people cannot be evicted right now, while still trying to come up with programs so the people that are the property owners aren't getting in trouble too, because this moratorium that they've put on the financial institutions only lasts for so long. And I know one of them, because I'm doing the We're Not Going to Take It show on Rushmore Loan Management. They've already told their people, even though I know the government basically has this moratorium put on, but you're going to owe all that money and interest as soon as it's over. So it's not really helping them. What it is, it's just delaying the inevitable. They have no intention of really helping people. And that's a whole nother shame that we've got to deal with. But let me go back over here. Okay, so Carla, tell me if I at least answered a piece of your question. Walter says, not sure how Trump was allowed to use National Guard in riots according to that. And Walter, you were going to get me an answer back on that. We all fall short. Yes, we do. I wonder if we prayed more than we complain about each other, how much for you know what, Carla? I am so up for that. You know, I'm a praying woman myself, and I'm on my knees every day right now trying to figure out how we can heal our nation. I'm so excited about the whole Israel thing. I mean, I think that's amazing, and that's like a miracle nobody thought would happen. But yeah, getting on our knees and praying would be a great idea. I mean, holding ourselves accountable if is asked if us. I think that's probably of us. Walter says it means that no president has the authority or power to use the military to enforce domestic policies, and Trump was in the wrong to use them acting a police situation. You know, Walter, I'm not sure that's true. I did a little research, not a lot, but I believe, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, and I can also go do some more research. But the National Guard is there to assist in domestic things that are going on domestically, and they're there to help and to support. I mean, they've been deployed many times when rioting or different things was coming up. Are you saying that he's not allowed to do it because for those cities that didn't want to let them in? Is that what you're saying? Because I think that's kind of their job. I mean, it's like, that's it's one of the reasons we have them here. And again, I am certainly not a professional at this. These are opinions and information that I pulled together. Carlos says, I feel you. Walter says, I agree, but that's from something old because the comments were here a bit. Walter says, according to the news and the media recently, health officials are urging politicons to shut down the country for the pandemic. I think if we shut our country down again, that is the absolute worst thing we could possibly do. And I do believe that that's the Democrats pushing, because that'll push us into a socialist thing for sure, because every person in this country is going to end up eventually dependent on the government to be making sure that they have any kind of money. Without restaurants being able to be open and having these apps that are narking off your neighbor, I think that is the absolute worst thing in the world. And defunding the police. I mean, this whole thing is like, what happened? Where did this turn happen that the world started going nuts? Because again, are there some bad cops out there? Absolutely. Are there bad politicians? Absolutely. Are there bad doctors, lawyers, dentists? Yes, 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 and yes. Are there bad social media marketers? Yes. Are there creepy authors? There's everywhere. But this has gone like just so far out in left field. I don't even recognize where this is coming from. It's like we're not even in the United States. It's like we've gone somewhere else. Shutting down our country would be it would be a huge mistake. I mean, it's hurting already, and the numbers are going down. I mean, they are. The hospitals are not the ones that are overrun are because they're understaffed now because they let so many people go. So I mean, from what I've heard and read and talked to people, that seems to be the situation. Picking a running mate based on race is definition of racism. Sippy, I cannot agree with you more. I did a broadcast on that last week. How could Kamala Harris, who actually basically called him a racist, and I'm not sure he's an actual racist or white supremacist, but I do believe he thinks he's superior. Like, it's maybe more of privilege that he believes that he's better than other people. Like, just some of the things, even from his past, the things he used to say, and so I don't know, like I said, but what he's doing, yeah, I'm going to pick a black woman as my running mate. It doesn't matter if she's the most qualified candidate. There could be 30 men or 30 white women or whatever, but I'm going to pick a black woman. And once he stuck himself in that box, he had no other choice. Now, many African American people are saying that she's not African American. She's, I guess, half Jamaican and half was it some Asian, Polyasian? I can't remember exactly what her mom was. I know her dad was Jamaican, but I don't even understand that. I don't understand culturally, and again, that's just something I'm not familiar with, maybe because that's not my nationality, is that I'm not familiar with it. But there seems to be uproars on things that shouldn't be uproars. We should be upset that he chose a running mate that had to fit the criteria of a black woman, not that it's her, but that was the criteria. It didn't matter how absolutely, awesome you would be, but we're picking, and it sounds to me like a political play anyway. I'm trying to get the black vote. I'm trying to get the female vote because the females are ticked off at me because people say I'm handsy and there's allegations that I've sexually molested people and maybe I'm a pedophile. Those are kind of big. And she basically called him some of those things during the debates. And when asked about it, she, and you know how this is a woman that's full of fire, right? And she's like, you know, she gets those eyes going. And, as a very type A personality woman, I can relate to being direct. I think she goes vicious. I don't like that, but hey, to each his own. But then for her to pretend when she's getting interviewed and they say, you just basically, you said he's a racist and maybe a pedophile, and he's definitely, you believe that the women that he sexually abused them, and now you're his running mate, like he's your best friend. And she's all, it was a debate. So what does that mean? That you were lying? I mean, like, I don't get that. And so there is no way I could flip flop from a guy I think maybe sexually assaulted people and was a racist, because she accused him of that, whether he is or not. I don't know. Like I said, I think he just thinks he's superior. But, and then to be his running mate, that just to me is a joke, right? And I agree with you. Picking a running mate based on race is racism. Dead people got a stimulus check. What could possibly go wrong with mail-in voting? Sippy, I am right with you there. I'm absolutely right with you there. RNC will for sure win the election. I certainly hope so, Samson, especially if anybody's watching it versus what happened. Like I said, it was like a Mean Girls convention watching the DNC versus the RNC, which addressed the issues, talked about what the problems are and what's happening. I mean, we got to talk about those people too. The people that were defending their property with a gun. I mean, they didn't shoot anybody. They didn't do anything. They just had their guns out there. None of the people that were illegally on their property threatening them to kill their dog and take their house, none of them were charged, but both of the people that held the guns and they said, well, nobody damaged your property. No, when you have a gun, people are a little less likely to come run you over and take your house. I mean, it's just the lunacy of the fact that, but President Trump is supporting those people, and they actually got to talk about the Second Amendment. And so you're seeing real people, not just political people. There was a political reason for them being there, but it's a legit one. I mean, I don't want to lose my Second Amendment, right? I don't have a gun. I don't even know how to shoot a gun very well. I mean, I've shot a couple things on like a range thing, but but no one should lose the Second Amendment, right? This is the Constitution we're talking about. And if you're trying to rewrite the Constitution, that's a problem. That's a problem for me. Let's see. Devlin says, I concur, although I don't know which part you're referring to, Devlin. Thanks for saying that. Walter said, I could be wrong, but isn't the National Guard military? And if so, the Posse Act was violated. You know what, Walter? I'm going to have to check on that, because honestly, I'm not familiar really with the Posse Act. And the National Guard is part of the military, but I believe they're a subset that's different. I'm gonna jot myself a note about the National Guard and the Posse Act. And if you have any articles on it, feel free to drop them here. Like I said, I'm here to learn just like you guys are. I do a lot of research, and so I try and break it down as easily as I can. What I do know. What I don't know, I'm not going to pretend I know. So that way we can communicate together. Kay Sippy says, Democrats rail against old white men and cops, then nominate both. Okay. Americans have the right to bear arms. Oh, they do, Walter. And you know what I just found interesting? This is, again, from watching the RNC, and it was right at the 1 hour 23 mark, because I think it was 4 hours last night. Right at the 1 hour 23 mark, or right in there. I did not know this. Now, this, I think everybody, I don't know why, if I missed it in the media or the media just skipped this. The couple, and again, forgive me for not knowing their names, that was defending their home with the guns. The person that was on the bullhorn, that was illegally violating their space, the person on the bullhorn was actually just nominated for a position, I want to say in the House of Representatives in Minnesota. I have to listen to it again. I was listening to it right before I started the broadcast, and I was doing a double take, and I was like, what? But it's right there. I'm going to have to kind of come back around to that one, maybe on tomorrow's broadcast. But listen to it. And if you guys, I'm going to drop the link here just for anybody that does want to here. This one's on the GOP National Convention. That's just where I got this, because it's uninterrupted. There's a lot of other ones that are interrupted. I'm just going to drop this link here. It's on Facebook. And at like I said, let me see what this is at. about just try the 1 minute 20 mark and you should be able to get it. It's the two, you'll see two people sitting on a couch, the woman and the man sitting on the couch chatting. But I was flabbergasted, like, what? Yeah, but and think about that. None of those people were prosecuted, yet the people who were in accordance with the law, because we do have the right to bear arms, and I don't know what they're being prosecuted on. That's I have to do a little more research there. I mean, maybe they didn't have they didn't have a conceal and carry permit, but they weren't concealing. I don't know. I don't know what the problem was or why they got in trouble, but I do think it's ludicrous. I mean, ludicrous. Because even if your state has a law, you're not allowed to have a gun outside, and people are threatening your home and telling you over a bullhorn, because they were yelling, "Oh, I'm taking that bedroom. I mean, they gave them every indication. They had already broken onto private property. They gave them every indication that they were going to do something to their home. And to, what, you're supposed to wait? Just like the lunacy, and I'm going to add this because it's coming to another broadcast later. You know, people that were struggling with their mortgages were told they couldn't get any help until they were late. And then once they're late, then they're stuck in assistance. So they stopped paying bills to try and get the assistance that then they couldn't get because they were late. I mean, it's so screwed up, and we got to fix it. But that's the same kind of thing. You can't defend yourself unless someone hurts you, but then it's too late to defend yourself because they already hurt you. It's like I said, we have to fix. And so just like other things need reform, there's some things that need reform, and that's okay. Let's reform them. Let's recognize where things don't work and how they're working against the people and fix them. But we don't have to attack each other. We don't have to throw pork into things when people are struggling right now and need to eat. You know, we need to have resources. I know I've heard that there's still like 5 million Californians that haven't gotten unemployment yet at all. So why? I don't know. Maybe they didn't file it properly. I don't know, because I don't. But we got to figure that out, because if there's a million people here who can't eat or can't pay their bills, if it's a one person, you know, and I've said this before. If you can't eat, you message me. We'll find some food for you. We'll find a food bank. There's a great organization online called IntelliHelp. It's a Facebook group. As a matter of fact, if you're able to help, it's called IntelliHelp, and there's people there that post, we don't have any food. You know, this one's just based on food, gift cards or shipping food to them. If you can't eat, you message me. We'll find you some food. Well, you know, I can't help maybe with your housing so much. We are starting a nonprofit that is to help people that are struggling. But you know, we've got to band together. We've got to band together and help people. Let me go back over here and answer these. Let's see. Yes, they do have the right to bear arms. Absolutely. Soros DA. Hey, Tim, don't get me started on George Soros. They are correct. Antifa, BLM are coming. Suburbia, arm yourself. Right? It's getting scary, and we do need to protect ourselves. I'm Canadian, but I do not agree with most things Trump does as your president. You know, Walter, I have this conversation with a lot of my clients and friends and stuff. They're outside of the country. Where do you guys get your news? And I'm asking you for real, because I know we're inundated here with the mainstream media, which I know Trump's always talking about. But the fact is, it is true. And then the way I know some of that's true is because, like, I'll be watching a press conference or something live, and then later I'll see CNN and the way they cut it, and it's like, wait, that is not what happened. Those words did come out in a sequence, but the words after or before are what. But we'll put it all together, and they cut it out and make him look like such a buffoon. And I think that's where I started sympathizing too, when I was watching what would happen, because I would get sucked in. And so then I started watching the whole things and then going, wait a minute, that is not what happened. That's not what he said at all. That's not what he meant. And it's just so wrong. So I wonder, where do you get your information? Like, are you guys getting it? Like, more the network, OAN, I think it's called One America News. They report straight on. But in Fox News, most of the time, I think Fox News most of the time delivers it, but they were definitely controversial to the Democratic Party. So I don't know if they're as much just neutral as they are trying to create some rating or something. You know what I mean? I like them more because I think at least they call the stuff out that the Dems are doing that's intentional. I don't know. I wonder where you guys get your news. Let's see. Nobody were walking down the dang gone street. Were arrested for brandishing their weapons. Monetize your travel. I'm not sure what that means. You think that they were brandishing their weapons illegally on their porch? I don't know, monetize. So you're telling me if people broke in, it was a gated community. They literally broke the gate, a crowd of hundreds of people. Because I think, wasn't it like 300 people, but only like 40 or 50 were in that section. I'd have to get those stats right too. But even if 20 people were crowded outside my house yelling that they were going to take rooms in my house, brandishing, if I had a weapon, I'd stand on my porch with it. Like whether you want to charge me with something, I'd stand on my porch. I'd take my rifle and I would definitely make sure I was ready, because you're not going to come and take over my house and my property or hurt my family without me fighting. And if I have to go to jail for it, I guess if I have to be a martyr for it, if I have to, go to court, or if the world has to see it, then so be it. But they didn't just walk out and start flailing around weapons. There were people on their street in front of their house illegally, because it's a private gated community, and threatening to take over their home. So I would have to disagree, but you're saying nobody was walking down I don't know what that means. So help me understand that one. I watch American news. Walter, what do you watch? One American, OAN, or you watch like CNN or Fox or those kind of networks? Okay. So let me know. I think I missed some comments, you guys. If I did, I'm really sorry. But I'd love to know where you guys are standing on this. What are you guys thinking? And like I said, when we're talking about DNC versus the RNC, the conventions, I think they're a world of difference. The RNC convention, I'm finding uplifting and motivating, but sobering. Some of the things are sobering to say, hey, this is what's happening, and this was the problem, and this is how it got fixed, or this is what we're experiencing, and this is what we intend to do about it. So, we have to, like I said, we have to kind of look at those things and figure out what's what and where's where. And like I said, I had to start actually watching more stuff. And because one of the news networks that was covering something, when they had the Bibles, right? The Bibles, somebody had lit the Bibles on fire and were burning American flags. And then the news reported it as, well, it didn't really happen. Like, well, that's not what happened. And then they curve around and like, well, it was one Bible, or, this, and they were using it for kindling, or it was only a few Bibles and it was kindling so they could burn the flags. And it's like, are we now trying to normalize Bible burning to be kindling for flag burning? Or are we trying to normalize flag burning? What is that? How about we just follow the law? We don't, I think it's sad to burn a Bible. I really do. It's awful also to burn the American flag. If you live here and you don't want to live here, leave, right? If you live here and you love it, then support your country. Wow, we see things so differently. Loch Ness Monster is uplifting. I don't even know. Oh, Joyce, I don't even know what that means, Joyce. Who are you referring to as the Loch Ness Monster? I don't know what you're talking about. So help me out there. Anyway, so there, like I said, there's a huge disparity on what's happening and how it's being delivered. And so we've got to kind of get in there and kind of get our hands dirty too, and figure out what is really happening. What if we look at some of the other footage and figure out what's happening, then we get to like a CNN reporter saying peaceful protest as a building is burning behind him, right? That was kind of crazy. Like those were crazy. And the whole summer of love over in Seattle was not a summer of love. People were getting shot. And you saw the guy one of the guys that got shot gets on and he's like, I'm looking for a lawyer because the cops didn't get there fast enough. The cops, what a joke. You're cop-free zone, right? You don't want any cops there, but they didn't get there fast enough. They didn't break your law fast enough to help you faster. I don't know. Mostly CNN, Fox. I do know the media does fabricate news. They've been doing that for years. Newspapers do the same. Yeah. So I would say Fox is a little bit closer, because they're at least trying to get rid of the overtly ridiculous stuff. But like I said, Fox also will push the limits and dramatize it to get their own ratings. I just feel like it's closer. I don't feel like it's accurate so much, but it's much closer. But when you actually watch the things yourself, then you go, "Oh my gosh, that's not what was said," or that's definitely not what was meant, and they're just, creating that. So it is rough, but, I get, like I said, I get it. Out of the country, you guys are getting things from a different perspective. Plus, most of you guys do believe, or because you hear most of the things that people are complaining about Trump, not the good things he's doing. I mean, this thing he put together with Israel and that Middle East, that's Nobel Peace Prize stuff right there. I mean, not to put Obama down, but I don't. Obama got a Peace Prize, and I'm not even sure what he got it for, to be honest. But I mean, every president in history has tried to put together a peace deal in the Middle East with Israel. I mean, every president, I think, every single one that I can think of, has tried to put something together and has been unsuccessful. So that's really, really huge. It's amazing. Chicago Mayor Lightfoot banning protests in her neighborhood. In her neighborhood. Yeah, right? That woman, I think, is a real piece of work, because you see her and what she stands for on one second, and she's a politician of convenience for sure. I can't quite figure that woman out. I mean, let's let them come in and rip things to shreds. Governor Newsom, he is allowing the homeless population to destroy Northern California. I mean, I don't know if you guys see that or know. He supplies. I don't know if people know this. Do you know that he's actually he is giving, and for those of you who want to tell me it's not true, look it up first before you tell me this is not true, because it's easy to find. Governor Newsom is paying stimulus checks to illegal aliens, right? Illegal immigrants. So he's telling everybody he can't support the new bill that Trump just put in effect, where he's going to give the federal government will give $300 if the states give one. So basically, you give 25%, we'll give 75%, we'll get these people on their feet. Governor Newsom says we don't have the money in the budget, yet he's paying illegal immigrants stimulus money to be here. He also pays, and it's again, most people in California that I know do not agree with this. He does pay for drugs. They supply drugs, needles, even alcohol to some of the homeless people and people that are addicted. I'm sorry, but that's never been that's, I come from a family with addicts, and I was married to an alcoholic drug addict. Providing them drugs and alcohol is not ever letting them hit their bottom. What it is destroying the other people around them. It's enabling, and it's wrong, and it keeps people dependent. So it's horrible. Yeah, the homeless in Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco. It's insane, right? Let's see. Hence, you can't believe everything you read. You know what, Walter? I know, and that's why, like I said, I'll watch things myself. I'll watch the debate, or I'll watch what's going on, or I'll look for other news sources from people that are trying to report news versus to show a biased opinion. And sometimes I don't have time to do that. And I'll post something and say, hey, what are your thoughts? Like, because then people will, a lot of people, they'll say, oh, here's an article on this. That isn't true. Check this out. And then they'll start supporting, so people can do their research in a thread on, something I post, because I don't know. And I don't have time to go research everything. I mean, I have a company to run and a family to run and all kinds of stuff going on. So, looking for, hey, Larry, welcome. Looking for opportunities for us to, to build awareness and give people an opportunity to do some, if like I said, the $1 billion mask deal, I did a lot of research on that. So when we do that and I plug those links in, because people will say stuff like, it's not true. But it is true. And like I said, Governor Newsom actually went on TV to tell people about it. He just was seeding it so it wouldn't be a shock, like he wasn't hiding it, but he was. I mean, it was his own party couldn't get the information out of him. Like I said, and he's got all these other things. Now, of course, we have these wildfires going, which are a national disaster. And there's so many other things dragging people's attention away from some of those other underlying underhanded, shady things that are going on. And when it's hard to keep up with it all. That's why we try and provide data and information. And like I said, I'm always open to hearing if you guys have information that's contrary to what I know. I'll read it and research it, because it's a conversation we're having. Those were not peaceful protests. No. And I don't care, guys can get mad if you want to. Peaceful protests are fine. I have no problem with peaceful protests at all. I mean, I think that that's part of what we do. People claiming that looting is because they've been oppressed or because they've, been frustrated. I don't even want to hear it. That is a lack of moral compass. That's what it is. Looting is stealing. It's stealing, and stealing is stealing. And if you think stealing is okay, then your moral compass is off, period. So, I'm not judging you. I'm just telling you somebody needs to help you find your true north, because that is not a peaceful protest. That is you stealing. Well, somebody was going to steal at the door. The glass was gone. I saw this one woman say, well, someone was going to take it. But it shouldn't be you unless your moral compass is off. I mean, come on now. Let's see. Interesting broadcast. Now I have to go do more research. You're welcome, Case. KCP, welcome. Thanks for being here. We have about 4 more minutes, guys. So if you pop in your questions here. Walter says, how do you stand on the mandatory vaccine for COVID-19? And do you feel we should all have it? Okay, Walter, that's a whole nother conversation. I will touch on it now, and then we will, we'll have a whole thing on it. I have some friends that are anti-vaxxers, and they, they would share stuff with me, and I ignored it, and I ignored it, and I ignored it. Right. I have a son with Asperger's, which is from data and statistics. And a lot of people say it's not there, but there is data to support it. I have read some of it, not enough to say 100%, but there's a lot of data to support that autism is from, not from the vaccines, but from some of the things that they put in the vaccines. And so I wouldn't say I'm an anti-vaxxer. My husband's older than I am, and he was actually one of the first recipients of the original polio vaccine. So he's the only actually current survivor from his class. Everyone had polio, and they all had the vaccine. Some of them did survive past childhood. He's the only survivor left in his class. From that original class. So, without that polio vaccine, my husband wouldn't have lived. So I do believe that vaccines are important and helpful, etc. It would seem that there are things in vaccines that are not healthy and are not okay. So I am not going to be taking a COVID-19 vaccine. I'm not going to, and I'm not going to have my family do it. My 2 boys are old enough to make their own decisions. I won't be taking it. I want to know what's in it. And with this whole thing with Bill Gates and wanting to put the microchips or, the nanotechnology and stuff inside there, and, having you scan yourself to make sure that you've been vaccinated and stuff, or you can't travel. That's just way too Big Brother, Minority Report-ish kind of stuff for me. And I think that we're going overboard in what's going on. Like I said, it seems really cool and easy. You can just swipe your, oh yeah, I'm vaccinated, but I'm not going to do it. Like, you're going to have to hold me down and inject me. Not really, because I'll find a gun by then. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so I'm not supportive of, I don't believe in mandatory vaccines. And if we look right now, people are not getting sick like they were, right? We're figuring out what it is. The statistics do show that the flu is much more deadly than COVID is. So now that we've learned, with what treatments when people have it, with the remdesivir and some of the other things they've got going on, and have you guys listened to all that stuff about hydrochloroquine and how it was on the market and all of a sudden it got taken off everywhere? I mean, it's been used for 50 years. When you start researching that, man, it sure seems like somebody has an ulterior motive for taking it off, because there's so much money in big pharma. I always thought it's a little bit of a conspiracy theory about big pharma. I'm really not so sure that's true anymore. I mean, there's just too much evidence to support this. People are making choices based on their own financial interests more so than people's health, and I get that, because like I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I believe that people should make money. I'm really glad that President Trump came in and leveled the playing field on the fact that Canada, like you, Walter, I think you said you're in Canada, you can get medication like for a third of the price that I can get it for here in the US. And then I don't know if you guys know that President Trump signed an executive order that says no, that I forgot what it's called. Somebody here probably knows what it is. that we get the same pricing. You have to give us the same pricing you give everybody else. We're the biggest contributor. We buy more, and normally you get, discounted pricing. The more you buy, you get discounted pricing. But what our pharmaceutical companies were doing is selling it to you guys less expensive because, that's what, I don't know what the going rate was, and charging us here in the US for, mostly really gouging the insurance companies, which is why our insurance rates are so high. And he said, no, it's not happening anymore. From now on, we get the same as the best rate you're giving someone else. You got to give it to us. That you're not playing this game anymore. Just like the whole thing with some of the, other countries and stuff was going on. Anyway, yes, same. We don't know what goes in it, right? Yeah, right. Parity. What's parity, Irv? I'm not sure what that means. Most favored nation. It's not called. Is it called favored nation? Something like that. I think you're right, Tim. Favored nation, yeah, something like that. Favored nation clause, where we get the same, the same, at least the same pricing as what you're giving other people, and that, like that. See, that's common sense. Why would we not? Why would you not want to support your own country? Why would you not? And it's like, well, because in America we got more money. The insurance companies are going to pay more, so we're going to poop, you know. And people were dying from not being able to get their insulin, and some. I remember a medication because if many of you may not know, I was in a wheelchair for 3.5 years. One of the medications was like $600, like every 2 weeks. I mean, like if we didn't have money, we would never have been able to. I wouldn't have had the medication. I mean, it was nuts, and I kept thinking, how can medication be that expensive? So we got to look at that. Same price equals parity. Gotcha, Irv. I gotcha. Okay. So anyway, guys, I went 52 seconds over my broadcast time, but I really do appreciate you guys being here. If you're new to the show, be sure to hit the follow button, hit the live notification button. If you're my regular Perry peeps and my Facebook fans, and we are on 7 platforms right now, hit that share button. Please make sure this gets out. Let's have conversations. Like, you guys, if you know me, I always have my opinion, but we're having conversations, and conversations, you will never be chastised or ridiculed for your opinion. We'll talk about it, and we'll figure out if there's a way we can come together. Now, we may not be able to, but we can agree to disagree. I appreciate you guys being here. So every day at 11:30 a.m. Pacific. And if you're not in my Entrepreneurial Rockstars group, I hope you guys will get in there. Let me put this link here. You guys this is the easiest way to go to the freebies link, because you can hit the Entrepreneurial Rockstars. Thank you so much, Walter. I appreciate that. Join the Entrepreneurial Rockstars every day at 11:15 a.m. I do a quick 3 to 10 minute video on money motivation, mindset. Today's on connection. And I actually, you guys can get in now, because you can earn prizes today just for connecting with another group in the Rockstars. I'm sending out gifts for everybody that actually does what I asked them to do in the video. And I think the video was like, I don't know, 2 minutes long. So guys, I appreciate you being here. Join us in the Rockstars. Join us here every day at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, and we will continue to provide value and an open conversation while we step up, stand out, and speak. And stop being silent, because we need to talk. If we talk, we can build bridges. Okay, guys, if people disagree, as long as they aren't disagreeable, right, Irv? And we have some disagreeable people that pop on the show sometime, but we always treat them with dignity and respect. So that's just the way it goes. We can all, like I said, we only have one person. He hasn't been on the shows lately, that says we cannot agree to disagree. You have to. He's like, that's just a load of BS, Vicky. You cannot agree to disagree. And it's like, but you can. You and I don't agree, and I'm not going to argue with you about it anymore. But he thinks his opinion is right, and he doesn't get that I don't think it's right. And you just, like I said, an adult will just have to agree to disagree, because that's the best you can do. Anyway, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you being here. I hope you'll hit the share button. I hope you'll follow. I hope you'll hit that live notifications, and I hope to see you here tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Until next time, I want to remind you, like I always do, to dream it, believe it, and achieve it. Ciao. See you guys later.